All right, let's open up in prayer. Lord, thank you so much for this morning. Thank you for the cooler weather we get to experience, and most of all for the sunshine and just the light of your word. Father, the truth of your word. Thank you that we can always come to it and know that what it says is truth, and we don't have to wonder. And Father, I just thank you for your faithfulness and your steadfastness, your kindness, and most of all your patience with us. Bless us this morning as we discuss what we have gleaned from your word. In your precious name, amen. Well, tell me what you remember from chapters 1 through 3. Kind of review yourself for context-wise. Think about what was Hosea told to do?
Go marry a prostitute.
Marry a prostitute. Okay, why would anybody want to go and do that? Did Hosea want to do that? No. But who told him to do that?
God.
Okay, so being the prophet of God, then he does what God tells him to do. Okay, and then how many children did he have? Three. Two boys and a girl. So boy, girl, boy, right? Boy, girl, boy. And what? Tell me about their names. Not like Amy means beloved, and Catherine means royalty, right? And that's not what he said. If they're all going to be punished, it's like, you're not my people, and it's just sad, and sadder. Okay, so then we open up with chapter 4.
Yes.
And is it better? No.
Beginning. Listing the sins.
Listing this. Oh, don't you just want somebody to do that for you?
There you go.
I don't. Here's our review. Just going back, they forgot God's law. He absolutely stated that. No knowledge of him or his word.
Right.
Absolutely stated that. He said whoredom had taken away understanding. Interesting. They would be destroyed, right? So you get Israel sin, you get punishment, and God says, but I'll return. Israel sin, punishment, but hope.
Right.
This seems to be the pattern. Okay? Now we go into chapter 4, verse 1. Listen to the word of the Lord, O sons of Israel, for the Lord has a case against the inhabitants of the land, because, why? Lack thereof, right? Especially no faithfulness or kindness or knowledge of God in the land. Wow. There is swearing, deception, murder, stealing, adultery. They employ violence so that bloodshed follows bloodshed. Therefore the land mourns, and everyone who lives in it languishes along with. The beasts of the field, the birds of the sky, and also the fish of the sea disappear.
Are we joking?
What?
Days?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, who's he talking to?
Both.
Both Israel.
Both Israel and Judah.
Israel and Judah. Okay? That's really key. But Hosea is a prophet to which land?
Israel.
Israel. That's crazy.
I was reading the commentary, and they were saying, or a lot of the theologians believe Hosea was actually living in Israel
Wow.
when he wrote this.
So he would have
kinda
experienced
make-
those captivities, right?
Hmm?
So he would have experienced those
They don't.
Assyrian?
They said I'm not sure whether we don't know whether he died before that
Mm.
time, or,
Right, because he could have prophesied during
but
that
anyway,
time.
that might make a little more sense as to the harlot, or the
Yes.
prostitution,
Yes.
and their idol worship.
That's a good point, but the harlot and the idol worship, what does that tell you is going on in Israel at that time? Would it have been hard for him to go find a prostitute to marry? No.
Right around the corner.
Right. Right. Okay.
Just go down to South OBD.
Yeah, there. Would they have a picture of harlotry, or would they go on, what is that? They would have known exactly what that was. Yeah, so he's speaking to them in their time with total visuals. Remember when we studied Corinthians? What were they talking about? Idol worship. What do we remember that Corinth was?
Yeah.
It was it, and there was a
Or
port.
whatever.
Remember they left them out the port, and that whole road led up to
Temple of Artemis.
Temple of, yeah, one of the 7 wonders of the world, used for idolatry, prostitution, all of that, and all those stores lining up to that would have made their money from that temple. So remember
Priests were doing
he's,
the same thing.
and the
so-
priests were doing, that's the sad part.
So I don't even think that nobody think it was wrong.
Right, exactly.
Oh, that
Right.
sounds so familiar.
That is so important.
Yeah, like.
If God has a case against Israel, what's his case?
They have no knowledge.
They have no knowledge. Do they look like they want knowledge?
No.
They don't really
Very
want
happy.
knowledge. Yeah, they're very happy where they are. What does he say? There is nothing. It's very interesting that there's no faithfulness or kindness. Why is kindness? I mean, you know.
They're destroying each other.
Did you?
Well, I think it's a
Murder,
part
I
of
would
the.
say, the priests were
Good.
murderers.
That's good. They're destroying each other because they can't even be kind to one another.
Jenny,
Yes.
that
That's
word
kind of-
kindness is the same Hebrew word as loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
I've been-
Did you get confused when they
Look for
said
that dumb thing
it's
online."
in this verse, this verse, this verse, and this verse? I'm like, it doesn't say loyalty in there.
No, it doesn't, but.
It's translated
It's translated.
kindness. Okay, now think about your friendships, your loyalty in friendships. Can you say, we're not even talking about marriage here, we're talking about a friend that you have said something to and you know it's not going to go any further. How many friends do you have like that? Maybe not so many. Maybe a few. If you have one, you're blessed. Absolutely blessed that you can and know it's not going to go any further, and they're not going to go, well, you are so stupid for feeling like that. That's not why you go to that friend, is it? You go to that friend for kindness, for listening ear. I know, I get it. I understand that. I'm not telling you it's right or wrong. It just is. This is what it is. That's the kindness that you want. You don't want them to whip you up one side and down the other. You get that plenty of places. You don't need to go to a friend for that. Loyalty. You know, I always talk about the 4 personalities. My kids could just rattle them off, you know, and they know which of their siblings is that golden retriever loyalty one and the one that is not. Okay? And they all have their purpose.
Yeah.
Trust me, they all have their purpose. They are so needed because we golden retrievers can be loyal till death to the wrong thing because we're loyal. What do you see them actually being loyal to, leading them to death?
That's why comes Catrice, the lion.
Exactly. Cockatrice, the lion, that's right.
Well, we were talking last night in the Bible study about the only reason the world is halfway what it is the restrainer is here.
You are
And if
so
take-
right.
And like Israel had no restrainer.
Right.
So
Every man
and
did what
you
was
think
right in his own
about
eyes.
Here, if we had no restrainer, what
Yeah.
would it be like?
What would it be like? What if God just totally removed his hand?
Don't you think he's in the process?
I do. I do.
I think also I have to thank you that you were talking about those 4 animals, because I always felt guilty because I couldn't do some of the things. Like
Right.
when there is something in here, I'd rather go miles and miles and
Oh,
years
yeah.
and years.
Then have conflict.
For
Oh, no.
years I could go around that.
Right. And not address it.
No, don't.
It's easier.
It's underneath somewhere.
Right. Right. Bury it. It'll go away.
Yeah,
It will.
It will, that it, yeah.
But it will come back up. And you can bury it again. And it will come back up. Always, always will come back up until confrontation. You deal with it, and you go on.
You know the
That's why we need
expression,
those
sweep it
other-
under the rug and it leaves a hump,
There you go.
doesn't disappear.
No, if
It
you
doesn't
match it, you
disappear.
go equally.
Smooth it out.
It's there evenly, darling. We're just,
That still makes me think of what Chuck said Sunday about love.
Yeah.
Love is the basic thing
Yes.
and all these, if we all had the love we were supposed to have,
That is so
kindness
true.
would fall right in place,
Kindness
wouldn't it?
would fall right in place. Dave, listen to his word. That's where knowledge is. That's what he's telling them to do. Listen. What's the first thing that he tells them in chapter 4, verse 1?
Listen,
Listen to the word of the Lord. Is someone speaking the word of the Lord?
No,
No, that's the problem.
they didn't have the right
The
priest,
priests were supposed to be speaking it,
but they
but
weren't
they
the right
weren't.
priest.
and they weren't the right.
what did they have written down at the time?
Not that any Israelite could read it. They had the Torah, because that would have been the first 5 books. That was written by Moses. Moses is dead by now. They would have had that, but the Israelites can't read it.
And some of the Psalms.
And some of the Psalms from David. That's right. That's right.
But that's him in the temple. That's not
Right.
fit
And
for them.
that's what I'm saying. They would only have heard that if the priests were speaking it.
So the fathers were admonished to speak it, and
Yes.
that's why they wore that thing on their head
Well, where would the fathers have heard it?
from the priest.
From the priests. And remember, we're going to get into that, but they were supposed to read it, the whole law, every 7 years. Now, think if you're the daddy, you've heard that. We're going to say at least 7 times.
Right.
Okay, 49. You would have had at least 7 times, maybe more. You would have
If
known the
you
law.
went and listened.
If you went and listened, where's the obedience? You know, where's the history of were the priests always obedient to say it? Were they? I don't know. You got to look back at that history. Here's his case. He lists them. They're pretty simple
Yeah. Pretty inclusive.
and pretty inclusive. That to me, the last one was violence and bloodshed.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Wow, wow, wow,
The
wow.
beheading.
The beheading is where I go to. Abortion is where I go to. I'm just like, all right. The first 2 verses, do they relate to modern times and where we live?
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Why is there no knowledge of God in the land? Tell me that. Apply it to America. Why is there no knowledge
Because
of
a
God
lot
in
of
the
the
land?
pastors are not preaching the knowledge. of
Good.
God.
A lot of the people.
Why?
We have to start with the church,
Mhm.
because what the church does will filter out, and then the parents.
That's right.
Well, the
I
people
don't
aren't living
blame the
it.
pastors as much as I do
People.
There.
people.
They aren't living it.
But also, God told you that the world, you can look at the earth and know there's a creator.
Yes.
He gave you his word on top of it, and he sent his son, that 3 different ways.
You're right. You're right. The creation screams of it. Son screams of it. The word screams. There is a creator. Your knowledge, just by being human, screams. There's a creator. So why don't the people? Let's leave the pastors out of it. Why don't the sheeple that come to the tabernacle know the word?
Because, okay, sorry, our college class is just studying all this stuff, and it's great. But
And this is great, a younger perspective. We know where we are in raising families, have raised families, are grandma. We know where we are. What's up and coming?
we were talking about like how we've always been taught to, read the scriptures, have your quiet time, do this and this and this. And, it's been so easily deceived in our heads without it being said, to just set apart a certain time for the Spirit instead of letting it indwell in your entire life.
Yeah.
So we've learned to do habits and do lists, and then when we do that, we can check that off our spirit guide and be
Right.
like, all right, and going on with the world. I mean, applying it to your life, yes, but we're talking about Francis Chan is
Mhm.
like the person that
That's
we're
great.
being led by, and he said, how easy is it to walk? We don't think about it, we don't plan it. We go and we walk, and it's all that you have to do is putting one foot in front of the other. It's really no big deal. And he said, and that's what it means to be walking in the Spirit. He said, you don't have to plan it. You don't have to, you don't have to do all this stuff. You just need to be there side by side with him in every moment of your day.
So it becomes your natural gait.
So it becomes everything you do, and then we get application questions and everything like that.
Right.
But I think the thing is that number one, we're Americans and we like easy fixes. So I think that's why a lot of people just come on Sundays and leave, because it's the easy fix. It's kind of
Right.
Catholic if you
It
think
is,
about it.
well, that's more of a religion than a relationship, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the second thing is we also just put it in a checklist of things that we need to do in the day instead of applying it into my walking life.
Right. Right.
You know, that makes me think of Sunday school as a child. First thing you did was check off, did you read your Sunday school lesson? Are you in Sunday school?
you bring
Are
your
you at
offering?
church? Did you bring an offering?
They
For
hand me
years.
Yeah, we start them young, don't we? Check off that list.
But
How
it
can
has
that
a
change
purpose.
though?
Yeah, it does,
Yes, it
but
does.
it's
It does.
methodical.
And I'm not saying that
No, I
the
know.
checklist is bad.
But
I'm just saying-
at your age is where you start realizing
And questioning.
why and questioning.
You should question.
Why am I doing this? What is the
Right.
purpose?
Yeah.
Because your parents have taught you, but then you have to have it for yourself. What is the purpose for me outside of my family obligation?
That's it.
Mhm.
Sorry, guys. Me, who didn't turn off my phone.
That's bad.
Shut your phone off. Sorry.
You can't remember everything, Jenny.
I know. Okay, question. If you want that to be your habit of life, if you want to make that change, or maybe you see that you need to make that change, I need to not only study the Word, but now I've got all this knowledge and I feel so much better because I've been with the Lord and everything. And then you get up and you walk, right? Now what's going to face you when you walk?
The world.
The world. Life. You may not even get out of your bedroom or wherever you happen to be walking, right? And you're smacked. Now what are you going to do? Does God have a case against you? Do you have kindness? Do you have faithfulness? Do you have loyalty? Is there bloodshed? Is there adultery? Is there all this list that he has against them? How long would your list be that he has against you? What do you do with that?
Because we see the same things and we do nothing about it.
Make a list and check it off.
We make a list and go, I need to work about that, I need to work on that, and that, and that. Okay?
But today we don't have much of an excuse because the scripture, we carry the scriptures around on our phones. We can, if we don't go to church, we can turn on the TV and listen to
We can get it anywhere we want.
Almost
But,
any time of the day.
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I know our neighborhood's probably typical, but I doubt if one out of 25 or 30 go anywhere on the church on the weekend.
Right.
Maybe even more than
I'm
that.
sad about that. Every
Isn't that sad?
Sunday, we drive out.
They're out walking.
Yeah, there's no.
Right,
bus
just
or
looking that they go to
everybody-
Right by the
Sunday
church, this is a great path, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't
Okay.
bother them. I always wonder what they're
So
thinking.
there's a
Yeah.
place where you could start right there.
But even that's,
Right there.
but that's hard too.
It is hard because they see you day in and day out, plus they don't really see the need. They don't,
Yeah, they don't
why
see
would
it.
I want to go to church?
Yeah.
I don't, I mean, especially in Florida, especially like now in Florida in the winter when it's beautiful, sun shining on Sunday. Why would I want to spend those hours there when I can
Go
be
to the beach.
outside, go to the beach, playing golf, doing whatever I want to do? How would you respond to that? Because you're going to invite, right? Hey, why don't you go to church with me Sunday morning? Well, I don't know. I want to do this instead of that. Why would you give them a reason to say, change? Why? Why would they want to change?
You have to know where they are.
You have to have that relationship, don't you?
Yeah, it's a Yeah. process.
Jesus didn't go and just go, you need to,
They need to see your walk.
I need to see your walk, that you need to have that relationship with them first.
Yeah.
right?
Kind of have to understand where the holes are in their life.
That's
to be
it.
able to approach them.
And that takes time. It takes time, and it really, really takes thought and intent. Because, you know, we live in this society where all we got to do is just hit the garage door opener and roll in, and we go in our house.
It's the back cave.
So, it's the back cave.
Back cave.
And nobody knows. It's a little different in our neighborhood because our neighborhood is an old neighborhood. If you actually have a garage, your car will never fit in there. Because, which doesn't make sense to me, Bertha Ann. I mean, you know, College Park would have been when you were raising your kids. And those cars were ginormous. Right? Well, that car would have never fit in that garage. Never.
And all the stuff you have in there.
So now all your stuff is in the garage, right? So, you know, even if you're in College Park and you have a garage, your car isn't in the garage. Nor do you have a garage door opener, unless you've built this brand new house and you've trashed the one that was there, and then of course you do. And we have front porches. So we see our neighbors, we have sidewalks, we have parks, we walk, we see each other all the time. We just had a couple move in next door to us, renting it, but then they're not married. They have 2 dogs. So how would I get to know them, right? Takes intent. But I first got to remember their names, which is really hard.
The dogs names, if they have 2 dogs.
First of all, you have to
I
meet
know
them.
one dog's name, I can't remember the other. See, but out walking and out of my comfort zone in my home, I actually get to know them. And the neighbor across the street, I know his story, and I know Anna's, you know, best friend down around the corner, I know their story, and I know the one on the corner, I know their story. But again, we've been there over 20 years, so we know each other's stories. But it takes intent to get to know them, to say, this might be why you want to go to church. Maybe you just moved here and maybe you need some friends. Maybe you need to get to know some people in the area. That would be a great way, right? Or you just have a home group and you invite them in. Hey, we're going to have this on this night. Why don't you come on in? Do you remember when they did that with Billy Graham and they all encouraged us to do that? Can't remember what the name of it was. But we were supposed to watch Billy Graham, like his last crusade thing. Remember that? That's the hardest thing for me to do. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna invite my neighbors, but they're not gonna come. So I invited my neighbors, and 2 of them came. It was awesome. 2 of them came, and it was an older lady down the street that we helped, but she's lonely. And we had a meal before we watched Billy Graham, and we talked. Remember Miss Rogers coming?
I remember.
Talk. She brought sweet tea.
It
was great. I'm like, wow, that's right down the corner, and I didn't even know. Do you know, 3 weeks after that, I went to knock on her door to give her her picture back, and she opened the door, and I didn't even notice, but she was in a t-shirt. She had taken her shirt off because she was so hot. She had no glasses on, and she goes, so glad you're here. She was trying to put the pin back in her glasses that holds the earpiece back with no glasses to try, and she was in a frenzy. So we just calmly sat down. Dan was there with me, so we just put the screw back in. How's that? I'm like, simple, but crisis. She has no one there to put it back in, and she can't see it to do it, and then she realizes when we left she was only in her undershirt. She was mortified. I'm like, we didn't even notice. You were just fixing your glasses. I didn't know. We just kind of rolled in, and that's how God kind of sticks those things in there. Why would you want to go to church? Why would you want to go to church? Kindness. People do not experience kindness anymore. Just hold the door open. Had a great opportunity with Daniel had just finished his PACT, and I took him, or maybe it was his birthday, I can't remember. I took him to Steak and Shake. We sat at the bar. We had our little burger thing, and this older gentleman came and sat next to me at the bar, and he just had a cup of tea and a bowl of chili, and he's reading his book, and he's just an older gentleman. And I thought, I'm going to pick up his tab. just a cup of chili and a cup of tea. So he didn't know. So I just told the lady, just put his down, just put it on mine. And we left before he ever was done. So he got the blessing after we were gone, and whether he ever knew it was us or not, it doesn't matter. It's just kindness. I thought, what a simple thing to put in this list. But do you see kindness in the world? It's so rare. That would make you stand out just by doing that. It's like, people don't do that anymore. What do you see on Facebook? Some guy just paid for me in front of the toll road. I had no idea. I was like, wow. They call it pay it forward. God calls it kindness. It's being a Christian.
Sometimes it's hard to be kind in the parking lot of a public.
That's the place I warn my son the most about. Look, when you go in there, you look 10 times before you back up. You look 10 times before you pull in, because I'm guaranteed somebody's mad in that parking lot. And you're going to find them.
Especially Saturdays.
Yeah. Okay, you had cross references about Exodus 20. Now, if you're in, Bible drill, you know Exodus 20 is 10 Commandments. Right.
Is what?
10 Commandments.
Oh.
Yeah.
So when you go to Exodus 20, you're like, do not, do not, do not, do not, do not. So which ones did the Israelites break?
It seemed like all of them.
I kind of ran out of room when they said, okay, write down the ones that apply. I'm like, well, can we just put all? Because that would be applicable. Okay? Then you had Psalm 51. What does that say all sin is? Psalm 51 was page 20 of your homework.
Thank you.
Have mercy on me, O God, according to your unfailing love, according to your great compassion, forgive my transgression. Wash away all my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. For I know my transgression, and my sin is always before me. Against you and you only have I sinned.
Isn't that the verse right there that we know? Against you and you only have I sinned. I'm sorry, excuse me, but I was ugly to Anna. I wasn't ugly to you. Oh, but Anna is mine. So if you were ugly to Anna, you were ugly to me.
And me.
Was I ugly to you? I know I was ugly to Anna, and I apologize for that part. But do you ever think about that? You get really mad at somebody that is not going when they're supposed to go. When you're driving, all sin is against God.
Good for you, darling.
See,
You out?
so is there something that you need to confess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the way, as you just, right after you just did it, because the Lord's gonna go, like,
Yeah. Why did you do
didn't
that?
you just, yes, Lord, I
I
just.
did.
Yeah.
Right. All sin is against God. Now, bring that back to kindness. If all sin is against God, who do you need to be kind to? All people. Christian or not. All people. Because Jesus came to save sinners. He died for the world. Which includes me, but it also includes them. I need to be kind. It's such a simple thing, but we just pass it by.
And it's so sad that there's so many.
They're not very
Not
cooperative.
worthy of being kind to, are they?
There's so many kind people who are not Christians, who are not so kinder than the Christians are.
That's a good point. That's a good
They
point.
have a good heart, but they just
So, but still, here's God's case against those exact people. They should be kinder than the world would be kind. But sometimes they're the grumpiest people you've ever met in your life. You want to kind of steer clear of those people because whatever day it is, they're having a bad day.
Yesterday when we were having our stitching group here, one of the girls works at Disney, and she evidently worked the Night of Joy at Disney.
Yeah.
She said, "I'll never do it again. Here these people come to hear Christian music, and they are the rudest, ugliest people there."
So much
And I
fornication
thought,
going on.
wow, what an example. What an
Isn't that
example.
sad?
It was sad.
But again, I believe that is a religion not a relationship.
Right.
That's exactly what Anna's talking about. When you get up and you start walking, that's just an easy thing,
That's
but
true, but that's what we portray.
that is what we portray.
Because they wanna wear the name tag.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mm.
but it just broke my heart that she felt that way.
Because that's what she'd experienced. What was languishing because of the Israelites' sin? What are they always connected
The
with?
land.
The land. How was the land languishing?
It was, there was no birds, there were no.
Birds of the sky, okay? The beasts
They're disappearing.
and the fish were disappearing because of their sin.
It is okay, but
Okay.
that's what God said, that if you don't obey these,
That's it.
They didn't take care of
that's
that.
gonna.
And now I am not comparing America to Israel and the land, but our land is suffering.
Yes.
Amen.
There are actual honey that you can't get anymore because the bees are dying.
Oh, really?
Tupelo honey is almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Why? Because the bees are dying. The bees are what make Tupelo honey, and they're dying. Why are they dying? They don't know. They don't know. Their hives just all of a sudden get this disease,
Wow.
dead. They're fine one day, they go check it again, they pull it up, all the bees are just dead.
Yeah.
The groves are dying too.
And the groves are dying as well. So it's amazing. It's amazing how sin goes everywhere. It's never private. Always ends up being public.
It's gonna get worse.
And it's gonna get worse. We know that. God tells us it
As
is.
America gets further and further away. from
Right.
God.
Right. Now, how do we know? Let's go through verse 4. Let's start there. Yet, let no one find fault, and let none offer reproof. For your people are like those who contend with the priest. So you will stumble by day, and the prophet will also stumble with you by night. And I will destroy your mother. Now, you heard that mother word before. Where'd you read that in Hosea?
2:2.
That's right. Contend with your mother. Contend. You have a case against your mother. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. This is your memory verse. Because you've rejected knowledge, I will reject you from being my priest. Since you have forgotten the law of your God, I will forget who? That's not fair. Why am I held accountable for my father's sin?
But your father is supposed to teach you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
And I think
And
that
sin filters down. Sin.
heritage is so important.
So huge. It is huge. I mean, I love that movie, The Blind Side. Oh, I love that movie, The Blind Side. I just love Sandra Bullock's character. I love Michael Orr. There was a Super Bowl that Michael Orr was in. I didn't care about the team. I just wanted to watch Michael Orr. I said, Dan, what number is Michael Orr? Thanks. I'm just watching. He's not on the field. No, Mom, it's the field. Okay. Tell me when he gets back on the field again. I want to watch Michael Orr. Why? My God, he never, ever let anybody get by him. I watched it. Not ever. Whatever his man was, he was stopped. He did his job every single time. I'm like, that's so cool. I mean, football's football for me.
You're gonna be sad
But-
though, when I tell you it got released.
I heard that. So my bubble was already burst. Yes. Sad, sad, sad. Well, so why was I interested in that? Because he was a good example. He broke that heritage. I don't have to stay here. I don't have to make this the heritage of my life. I can get out. I can change. That takes a lot of courage.
Remember how he got out there.
Help.
Remember the question he was asked. How did you get out? He didn't say, you got me out.
Mm-mm.
What did he say? His mother taught him not to see what was evil.
Right.
She didn't let him see it.
Right.
You know, he lived right smack in the middle
Smack
of it.
dab in the middle of it. Yeah.
Close your eyes.
Right. Such a good point. That mother instinct, I don't think ever goes away, of protection. Who's his, I'm going to say beef? The more they multiply, the more they sinned against me. I will change their glory into shame. They feed on the sin of my people. I didn't get that
I did.
They're all
until
Oh,
we
okay.
started, right, with the, I'm like, but who's the they?
the priest.
Right? Right. Right.
Priest.
Now
I
that
have
took me a
so many
little
little
while
green
to
circles.
get it
I know.
until it
So I understand
said,
that.
you know, on page 21 it said, for you is my contention, O priest. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, that's what I thought it was, but I'm not quite sure. But now that makes sense. The priests. So he's gone from the people. Now he's actually talking to the priests. This is his case against them.
And the prophets as well.
And the prophets. You can't tell the difference, right?
There may have been other prophets that didn't open their mouth.
Like Hosea did. Good point. Good point. They feed on the sin of my people and direct their desire toward their iniquity, and it will be like people, like priests. So I will punish them for their ways and repay them for their deeds. They will eat, but not have enough. They will play the harlot, but not increase, because they have stopped giving heed to the Lord. What's another word for giving heed?
Obeying.
Listen. Give heed to my words. Give heed to your words, right? Proverbs says to the words of your father, the words of your mother. Listen.
Can we go through those
Listen.
days from 7 on,
Verse 7 through,
actually 8? The 8th day first is priest, right?
yes.
Do you
Let's
read?
see what we got.
Go back up to verse 6, and then you'll see the comparison.
Because the you have rejected knowledge, that's the priest.
Right.
I will also reject you, priest, from being my priest.
Mhm.
Since you, priest, have forgotten the law of your God, priest, I will also forget your children, priest. Well, who are supposed to carry on the priesthood?
Levites.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, one of the,
Right.
I did
That's
read
where
a
I got my
commentary,
hint.
one of the commentaries that I said were these priests were not
Is that the priest again?
Levite priests.
Uh-huh.
They were not of Aaron. They were the
Because
ones that went
they-
Jeroboam.
Yes.
I think it was Jeroboam, the son of Nebat.
Right, the bad
When
one.
he set up his own
I got
religious
the rest right.
and system, and the priests were not descendants of Aaron. And that, they rebelled against,
Right.
as I saw Hosea was, I keep my timeline here, Hosea was from
Yes.
755 to 714, so it was
Right.
in that time.
And it was
frame.
that time frame that he would have had priests in
Right.
Israel that were not the priests that were in
Yeah.
Jerusalem and Judah. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Yep.
And they, yeah.
Yeah.
This is when they were worshiping the
So how would they
idols.
have the knowledge then? How would they
don't
have?
have the knowledge because the priests were not giving them the knowledge. They were not.
Isn't this
the
crazy?
true Levites.
Okay. So
But
how are
the
those
thing
people
that
supposed to be
priests are
ruled?
now tickling everybody's
They're
ears.
tickling people's ears, which we create mega
And that's
churches.
so much easier.
Which is not to say every mega church does not have a good preacher. I'm not saying that. But most, you could say that about. Most, because it makes them feel good. Like Anna said, they did the church thing. They checked it off their list. And now they go about their Monday through Saturday life. And then they go back into their feel good. Right. You looked up cross references about the priests. Okay, we went to, okay, we said God had rejected their children. We read these verses. Look, what did you find out about priests in Deuteronomy? Now, you're on page 21 of your homework. What was their job? Put it that way.
Carry the ark.
They carried the ark. What do we know happened if someone picked up the ark that wasn't supposed to pick up the ark?
They died.
They died. Okay? So these guys are critical. They have to carry the ark. What else are they supposed to do?
Read before the people during the
Teaching
Feast
God's
of
law.
Tabernacles.
That's it. During the Feast of Tabernacles, they're supposed to
And
read.
did you catch that? At the place the Lord chooses.
Chooses.
So that talks about their relationship with the Lord. They had to be listening
Right.
to what the Lord desired for them to be able to read His Word at the right place.
In the right
So it wasn't
time.
just reading the Word
No.
like the checklist,
Right.
but it was being able to have that discernment. So they had to have a relationship
They
with the
had
Lord.
to have that relation. They had to know what God's voice sounded like.
Is that the same like this day we all have a part in the body? Is that the same, we have to be in the right place to listen.
I think spiritually you have to be in the right place. Not physically have to be in the right place, but spiritually you have to be in the right place.
But they didn't have a
Listen.
spirit in there in
No.
that time, so the spirit was there.
That's it.
Where,
So
Where
God
those priests
was.
were.
Yeah,
That's why the people had to follow the priests. Otherwise they wouldn't know what the Lord said.
yeah.
There's no mouth to speak. Because that's what the priests were supposed to do, speak for the Lord. Okay, now, Malachi said, this word true is huge. Malachi said they were to honor God's name and give true instruction. Well, how are they gonna know? How are the people gonna know what's true instruction and what isn't?
For the lips of the priest are to preserve knowledge, because he is the messenger of the Lord Almighty, and people seek instruction from his mouth.
So you had a problem, where were you supposed to go? To the priest. So he's supposed to give true instruction.
But these were false priests.
All right. So as the people, so the priest. As the priest, so the people. It said we can't tell the difference. One stumbles by day, one stumbles by night. What's the difference? Why would you stumble during the day? It's really bright and sunny. Why would you stumble then?
They have no knowledge.
They have no knowledge. Right. You stumble around.
Oh, right from wrong.
When you look at Exodus 19, what was God's total, I don't want to say wish, but vision, desire for them? All to know him, to be his treasured possession. A kingdom that was set apart from all other nations. An example of this is what God requires. They're walking in obedience. Look how God blesses these people. No other God in all the world is like the God of Israel. That's what perfection was, right? But he used people that stumble, people that fail. Hosea 4:6 said the priests had rejected knowledge and forgotten his law. Leviticus 6 and Deuteronomy 8. What does that mean? The priests abused their privilege of being fed by the people.
They ate the offerings that were brought instead of offering them.
Right. Now, was it okay for them to eat some of that?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. It was like the cheeks and the hip and something else that they were allowed to eat.
And God gave those for them to eat.
That's the provision for them, right?
Yeah.
And what were the offerings to, or who were the offerings to?
Who were the offerings?
Because remember, when we were, anyways, back, that they were worshiping at this time the pole
And the golden calf
and the holy
Yeah.
calf. But the pole that,
that Moses was set up so they could look at, right?
So why
the
would
serpent.
you, that's wrong to eat the offering to that, because that was a offering to an idol.
Right.
So
But the purpose was
yes.
obedience, right?
Right.
Right.
In order to feed the priests, because this is what
Right.
God's government set
But
up.
the priest should have said, no, we're not offering to
That's
this.
right.
Oh,
That's
no, I mean,
right.
eventually, because we already read that eventually they just, being, Hezekiah
Yes.
had it destroyed.
Yes.
But I mean, this is Hosea saying.
Remember, the more the people sinned, the more they were supposed to sacrifice, right?
Right.
So
Those priests should have been really fat.
those priests should have been really fat. Hey, truth is truth. That's just the way it
Lord,
is.
the people sinned, they brought that sin off.
That's it.
The priest would profited from that.
Remember that Hosea 4:5 said that there's no difference between the people and the priests, who were held to a higher standard. Right.
But didn't they
didn't.
thought that God wants those sacrifices and God really just wanted to obey obedience and
Maybe
What does he always goes back to?
But these were not real
heart.
priests.
Obedience to the heart.
these
They were not real priests, and the people probably knew it. So
And
they
again,
did whatever
so the priest
happened.
goes, so the people go.
They were not from the line of Abraham.
But we also, and was that Israel or Judah that we know that they brought a priest back in to teach them the ways? Because remember, lions were devouring and the land was, remember, and they brought them back to teach them the right way. So I do think some of these priests knew exactly what they were supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
and they didn't do it.
They just went with the crowd.
They just went with the crowd because,
It was easier.
well, if you're in harlotry, what are you paying for? Sexual favors, right? Do you think they could have been paying the priest for a favor on a sacrifice? I mean, if this is your way of life, right? What's the difference? If this is the way the world goes and this is the way the people go, why would the priest be any different? They wouldn't. They just accept money because this is the way it is. So I can make profit and I can get fat by doing nothing. It takes a lot of work to hack up a sacrifice. And the priest was supposed to do that, not the people. People brought the sacrifice. The priest was the one that had to hack it all up. Take this I can eat, this I have to burn. Here comes somebody else. I have to hack it up. I have to put this is what I can eat, this is what I clean it all up over it all day long. Somebody comes along and gives them money. Here, can I just pay you for what the sacrifice would have cost me instead of actually bringing it? Because, I only have 3 sheep and I really need that to make my living, to sit and the priest accepts the bribe. So the priest, so the people. So the people, so the priest. I'm not saying that's what happened, but it's way probable. Way probable. Because, again, what's God's case against them?
Disobedience.
No faithfulness. There's disobedience. There's, what's that list? Swearing, deception, right? Murder, stealing. Who would they be stealing from then? Okay, adultery, they employ violence. Well, that means they have to pay for violence somewhere. If you're going to employ it, you get paid for wages, don't you? So that bloodshed follows bloodshed.
Can't you relate that to today, though?
I
The person
can.
that-
I think I'm reading a newspaper.
That's what I wrote in my, it's like reading the dirty newspaper.
It's just like picking up, turning on Fox News. It's just like that.
We used to have a man that would come at the end of the year and very happily bring his check to the minister and hand it. And most ministers don't want anything to do with the money. But he would make a real point. And he probably was in Groves or something like that and had it. But he always made a point every year. And I always felt sorry for him because I think somewhere in his mind he thought he was doing what was right by giving the church some money.
Right.
But he wasn't.
But his heart wasn't there.
No.
So that's what God keeps saying, right? I don't want your sacrifices and all this. I want your obedience. I want your heart that obeys. Wouldn't you rather have that of your children? I'm gonna rake this yard because Mom said I'm gonna rake this yard. I'm gonna pick it up just like she wants it because that's the way she wants it. Well, the job gets done, but the child learns nothing. Absolutely nothing. They've missed the joy of work. They've missed the joy of being part of the family and benefiting the family because of what they can do. And a job well done. There's a satisfaction in a job well done. They've missed it all. Because their attitude is, right? Does it remind you of Jewish people? Stiff-necked, stubborn people, right? Haven't we all been there? Haven't we all done it? I'm going to do this because that's what you tell me to do, but I don't have to like it. No, you don't have to like it, but it's easier if you would know that I have your best interest in mind and this is what you need to do. It's easier on you, not really me, because this is what's going to happen anyway. But it'd be much easier on you. Wow, what a lesson we learned from these people. In Hosea and Isaiah, they were drunkards. Jeremiah 5, they prophesied falsely and ruled on their own authority. Well, is that true? No. That might be their truth for that moment. Again, is that not our newspaper? They were drunkards. Okay. How many times have you read of a judge getting pulled over for a DUI? Yep. And not the first offense. Yep. Okay, they ruled from their own authority. Yep. Not according to the law, not according to the will of the people.
We have a president.
And we do have a president like that. Okay? They became polluted and a snare to the people. Okay? Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're fishing and you snare a fish, you've caught him with the hook. He hasn't bitten it,
Yeah.
but you've snared him. And in he comes. He could be caught on his tail or on his fin or on his belly, but it's not his mouth because he hasn't gone after the bait, but he's been snared and brought in. Great picture in that word. Now, I look at our state. The people said marriage is between one man and one woman.
Right.
Right.
The people said. Legally, voted, everything was counted, everything was done, every I dotted, every T crossed. But a judge in Georgia says,
No, it's not.
no, it's not. Sorry. How does that happen? This is the judging, this is the prophesying, this is the judge that do it of their own authority. And the land becomes polluted. That's what we're looking at. Who knew we were going to be studying Hosea, February 2015, how applicable it would be. This is a couple thousand years ago. And here we are, same place. Now, you looked at believers as priests. What did you find out there in 1 Peter? You're on page 22 of your homework. Does that help when I tell you what page you need to go to?
Yes.
Because there's like 5 days worth of I'm like, I know I looked that up. Where's that? I know I looked that up.
But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation.
Oh, holy nation.
People belonging to God.
Right. Is that true of you? It may not be true of America anymore. We may not be that shining light anymore. But it still should be true of the people that are Christians within America. It's not changed. We are still a holy nation, a kingdom of priests.
And
So?
it's not that far away when America still was. I remember when I did.
It wasn't. It isn't.
The whole Europe was looking at America. Why they asked, that's just dream. And now they're laughing at us. Us, because
Us.
I'm America.
Because you're in America.
Yep.
Right. What a great picture God gives us of a baby desiring the pure milk, right? Do they have patience when they're hungry? Absolutely not.
Now.
It's now. Now, and I woke up and I'm hungry.
Where are you?
It's like, oh, stop. Right? How fast can I get this in there? Right? Okay. Apply that to a Christian. Is there no sweeter thing in the world to see this baby sleeping with milk kind of dribbling all around? It's called the milk coma. Is there any sweeter thing to see that? Satisfied. Right? That's all they wanted. Feel better. I'm full. Thank you.
And they smell so good.
Oh, they smell so good. Isn't that the way a Christian is supposed to be? I gotta go to the Word. Wake up in the morning. Gotta go to the Word. You go to bed at night. If you haven't been in the Word, something should be
We
screaming.
should have a filet mignon right here.
Filet mignon.
Not
Right
milk
there.
anymore, but something more.
But again, that is a great picture because we don't want to just drink the milk anymore. We want to chew on a steak. We want to chew on the meat of the Word. I don't want to just know Jesus came to save me. I want to know, what does that mean? I believe that He came to save me. I believe that He is my way of eternal life, and that is the only way. That's it. He is the way, the truth, the life. Got it. You know, Zig Ziglar. I believe it. God said it. I believe that settles it. And then what? What do you believe? Why do you believe that? Why is that so?
It's like Brennan said.
Okay?
They don't know.
Got to know. Did the Israelites know?
No.
Hosea 4:6, my people perish because lack of knowledge. Why can so many preachers, mega preachers, popular preachers, tickle your ear? Why can they do that?
Because they don't have knowledge.
Because you don't have knowledge. It doesn't go, oh wait, that doesn't sound right. I don't think that's right. Why wouldn't you think of it? You can't question. That's the preacher. You can't question him. That's your job to question him. That is your job. Paul told you, test these words. See if they're right, because if they're not, I need to know. I need to bring it to my attention. Did someone do that with Paul? Yes. What was he doing? Someone had to come and reason with him about who?
Wasn't he like in a quarrel with someone?
Yes.
Mark.
John Mark.
John Mark.
So much so that they parted their ways. Did they stay parted?
No.
At the end of his life, he mentions him as a great help to him. So even Paul was not above. Let's reason together here. That wasn't right. Can you imagine the guts of someone coming up to the Apostle Paul? Excuse me, but we need to talk. But who is that? That's Paul, who wrote 90% of the New Testament. He's just like we are. We must be held accountable for what we say. If it's not right, we need to know. Because we are held accountable.
But you know, if some of those things weren't in the Bible about some of their, I guess you might say, failures,
Yes.
we would feel we couldn't.
That's exactly right.
Just
That's
like David,
exactly right.
He is there for a purpose.
Is he not a great example?
Yes.
And God calls him a man after God's own heart. Yeah. David? David the adulterer, David the murderer, David the one that's... What? Yes. Why? Because he wants that obedience of the heart. And David, when faced with his sin, repented.
Just don't.
Faced with his sin, repented. That's why he's the man after God's own heart. You've brought the sin here, and he doesn't go, no.
But I'm king, then apply.
He humbles himself. He
Never
just
said that.
prostrate before the Lord. He gets it.
Heading broadside.
Right side, yes. Because all sin,
Like
who
some of
wrote
the
that
other
song?
things that we studied.
My sin, all sin is against God. He got it. That gives us hope. And it was failures. We can call them failures because that's exactly what they were. John 17, God's word is truth. Not some of it, most of it. Maybe some of it, maybe we can kind of go, this is truth, but maybe this isn't. Have you heard that?
Yes.
Is that not our world?
Yes.
That's truth for you. But this is my truth. No, there's only one truth. It's either truth or it's a lie. That makes you intolerant.
I told my brother, then why do you believe at all? If you only want to take part of the scripture, why bother? Why believe any of it?
Why believe any of it?
Why believe at all? What's the purpose?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's
I
true
know.
though.
People do that to me. I always say the Bible is not a buffet.
Right.
You can't pick and choose what you
You can
want.
choose what you want.
Yes. It's comforting to know that there is a bottom line. There is this plumb line that does not waver. I can always go back to that truth and know, but God said. God said. And what does Satan do? Have God really said?
Yeah.
Right? God
But it's not in the New Testament, so it doesn't apply to us anymore.
Not all the
Yeah,
time.
so many
All the
times.
time. All the time. Let's finish up the chapter here.
Yes. Hello.
Harlotry. I love this part. I mean, it's like harlotry, wine, and new wine take away the understanding. You ever seen somebody drunk? You ever tried to reason with anybody drunk?
Yeah.
You don't have any understanding. I can fly. No, you can't fly. My people consult their wooden idol, and their diviner's wand informs them, for a spirit of harlotry has led them astray. So what's behind every idol that we know? Satan. There's a demon behind every idol. And they have played the harlot, departing from their God. They offer sacrifices on the tops of mountains, burn incense on the hills under oak, poplar, and terebinth, because their shade is pleasant. It's not hard. Therefore your daughters play the harlot, and your brides commit adultery. I will not punish your daughters when they play the harlot, or your brides when they commit adultery. Why?
Or the man.
Bottom line, for the men themselves go apart with harlots and offer sacrifices with temple prostitutes. So, people without understanding are. Though you, Israel, play the harlot, do not let Judah become guilty. Now, go back up for a second. Why is the man held responsible for his bride's daughters? Why? He's not. Is he doing it?
He's the leader.
He's doing it? What did God set up back in the garden?
That man was the head over
There is
an order.
an order, is there not? God, man, woman. That is the order. He's responsible. Who did he say, you have sinned, when Eve took the bite?
Adam.
He addressed Adam. No difference.
Adam trust God. But did you give this?
Yeah, didn't you give me this woman? Yeah. He didn't even address that, did he? Didn't even acknowledge that he said that. Yeah, the woman's going to be cursed with this, this, and this. You do this, 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 and this. Wow. Is that applicable to today? Yeah. They take away the spirit of harlotry, led them astray, and for me, the men were held accountable because, you know, they always say the end of a society is when the moms, the women, become perverted. That's the end of the society. Now, that's crazy. We see that blatant now, in your face, to even hear women swear. When the F word comes out of a woman's mouth, it's still, it just still takes me back. It's still, wow. Wow. I'm either protected, naive, I don't know, but I like that little bubble. Because when I hear women use that kind of language, it seems more profane than anything. If I watch a military movie, I expect it. I mean, that's in the military. The smoke, yeah. It's just when the women start dropping that.
You know, and all these, I have 2 granddaughters that have babies and have no husbands.
Right.
Or one's getting ready to have one. And just, you know, the sadness of that.
Yes.
And that's so high, you know.
That is, I must brag on my 2 daughters so much because so happy. I look at them and I go, look at all this stuff. All these people that love you, all this free stuff. You set your household up for free. Look at all these people coming to celebrate your marriage. It's so awesome. This is the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have friends that have had a baby that are living with the boyfriend in the apartment, barely eking by.
Right.
Mom, they don't have this, they don't have that. There's some
So
reason for
they're
that.
poverty, yes.
When you do it the right way, God blesses. Unbelievably. When you don't,
And the men,
no.
going back to the Hosea, and the men, their men that were involved with their, like, so
what?
what?
Big deal.
I have a new girlfriend now,
Yeah.
you know?
So why would be surprised with the girl? Well, where are the men getting the girls?
Right,
From the man's home.
yes.
That's the
The-
daughters.
the
That's
vicious- just what Hosea said.
it's just sadness. But are we not living there?
Mm-hmm.
Are we not walking it, reading it, seeing it, hearing it? This is our world. This was Hosea's world. It's the same.
That's why
Women
God
wanted
can
equality.
honor them and their marriage because they are doing the obedience. And God, I'm a good example. God has forgiven me what I have done. And I had my 2 children before we get married with the same man, but still we were not married. And till this day, I am paying the consequences. He has forgiven me, but there is not that amazing happiness.
Right.
And I said that, Christian who has done wrong there, they are so happy.
But you know, Satu, you also share that in Finland, people don't get married.
No, they don't.
So the priest, Oh, the people.
Yeah.
Okay? This is their culture. They don't get, why would they get married? They just go live together and they have kids. And when they don't want to live anymore, they don't live anymore. It's really easy. You just, there's no, ties to cut or anything like that. It's just,
Will forgive you,
Yes.
and that's what they need to know, but
he
they
washes
will.
clean, does he not?
You will bet. You have to.
Now look at the last verses, right? Yeah, here we go. It says, though you, Israel, play the harlot, don't let Judah become guilty. Don't go down to Gilgal or go up to Bethaven or take the oath as the Lord lives. Now, Gilgal and Bethaven. Bethaven meant a house of iniquity or wickedness. Ah! They think maybe Bethaven was Bethel. Bethel was where they set up the golden calf. Remember Jeroboam, son of Nebat? That's where one of the calves was set up, was in Bethel. Now they've changed the name to Bethaven because it's a house of iniquity or wickedness. Gilgal and Bethaven were spiritual harlotry in Israel. Now,
I didn't understand this,
this is
Do not
poetry.
let Judah become guilty. Because if you are doing something like if you are drinking, you do not want to do it by yourself. You do drugs, you want somebody else done.
To do it with
too.
you.
Yeah,
What do you think Israel's
everything.
wanting Judah to do?
Yeah.
Come along with us because
Yes.
sin desires company, right?
Yeah.
Since Israel is stubborn like a stubborn heifer, can the Lord now pasture them like a lamb in a large field? Ephraim, that's Judah, is joined to idols, let him alone. Their liquor gone, they play, no, I'm sorry, Ephraim is not Judah. It's Israel, sorry. They play the harlot continually, big clock there. Their rulers dearly love shame. Wow. The wind wraps them in its wings and they will be ashamed. Why? Because of their sacrifices. Time's coming. Okay, let's go to Hosea 5. What do you think the theme of chapter 4 could have been? There's a case against Israel. Right. And he built his case right there. They lack knowledge of God. Here comes chapter 5. It starts with here. Okay, chapter 4 started with listen. Hear this, O priests. Give heed. What's that another word for? Listen. O house of Israel. Listen, O house of the king. For the judgment applies to you. So that includes who? He's tossed to the priests, the king, right? And the people. Because now he says, for you have been a snare at Mizpah and a net spread out on Tabor. Okay, Mizpah and Tabor were high places in Israel. What did they do in the high places? Offer sacrifices to idols. Right. The revolters have gone deep in depravity. Again, that is where we live. The depravity is kind of mind-blowing of the evil that comes out. But I will chastise all of them. I know Ephraim, and Israel is not hidden from me. For now, O Ephraim, you have played the harlot. Israel has defied itself. Their deeds will not allow them to return to their God. Explain that to me. Their deeds will not allow them.
They're self-sufficient.
They're enjoying it too much. What?
They're self-sufficient. They don't know of God. They don't want to
You
know.
don't need it. Back to that. Why would I want to go to church?
Well, Romans 8 says,
need it.
those who are not in God despise God.
Right. Okay.
But I didn't get why it said it will not allow them, because you can always come back to God.
Yeah.
You can always come back to God, but what if
But
you're
your deeds are evident of what your heart is.
Well,
That's
go
it.
back up to
And so
verse,
if-
sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, no.
Verse 3, because it says for now.
For now.
Okay.
That's the key.
Yeah. There's
'Cause
always
I did
clocks
that
here,
too,
right?
Joni, I'm like,
So
what?
God always
No,
sends
go back
mercy,
and
right?
reread, because it's explaining itself.
But how did we end up in chapter 4?
Yeah.
Verse 19, they will be
Yeah.
ashamed because of their sacrifices, but they're not now. But they will be.
What
Their
verse is
deeds
that?
don't allow them to come because What do they have to come? What do they have to do in order to come?
They have to repent.
They have to repent and bring a sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
But that, I don't want to. And like Ken said, they're enjoying it too much. It's easy.
Where was it when God said that I do not forgive Israel's sin? Where was that?
It says their deeds will not, it doesn't say I will not forget.
No, but
In the
it
first
said
3
somewhere.
chapters, when,
Oh, in the first 3 chapters.
Because
but then we said that there is a time
my
coming.
hair, so was there also for now?
For now.
There's a for now.
There's
Yeah.
a for now.
In here,
For
but
now,
in the-
verse 3, 5:3, chapter 5, verse 3. For now, O Ephraim, you have played the harlot. Israel has defied itself. Their deeds don't allow them to return their God. Where's that spirit of harlotry is where?
Within.
Sometimes don't read the numbers
Yes.
because it wasn't divided like
Yeah,
that, and
yeah.
try
Yeah.
to read it as a paragraph flowing.
Exactly.
Then you're
And don't do the chapter divisions either.
right.
Yeah,
Just
no.
read it.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious to me anyway, when God starts directing and talking to somebody else.
Yeah,
And then he starts talking to
Right.
here.
but I mean, you
Now,
know.
Hosea, this is what
that
you're supposed to
helps
do.
me. I go, okay, I can't read it like
Priests, this is what's happened to
this.
you.
Don't look at.
Okay? There's a definite change in there of who he's talking to.
But if you're concentrating on the chapter, you
Mhm.
lose that.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. Absolutely.
Oh, it's a 1:6. And the Lord said to him, name her Lo-Ruhamah,
Right.
for I will no longer have compassion on the house of Israel, that I would ever forgive them.
Right. But that again is future. That I will ever forgive them for their deeds in what they are doing. They will return. Because again, we have to look at Hosea as a whole book. This is Hosea speaking to them, giving them the message of God. What's our pattern? Israel sins. Then what?
They turn to God and
Punishment, and then they come back, right? Hope. But then they go back to sin. God punishes,
Yeah.
right? Is that not your life? Oh, I'm sorry, Lord, I did that again.
Like their life in Egypt, you know.
That's it. Wandering. Yes, yes. Okay, in Hosea 5, this theme, what's he telling him to do?
Seek the Lord.
Seek the Lord. That was one of your key words to mark. The end of verse 4, it says, they don't know the Lord. Moreover, the pride of Israel testifies against him, and Israel and Ephraim stumble in their iniquity. Judah also has stumbled with them. They will go with their flocks and herds to seek the Lord, but they won't find him. But wait, it says, those who seek me will find me. So what does that tell you about their heart when they're trying to seek him? They're not going
really.
wholeheartedly. Right. Seek me with all your heart. Okay? Does Scripture verify Scripture? Or does it contradict itself? It cannot contradict itself. Okay? He has withdrawn from them, but he says, I will never leave you or forsake you. So how can he withdraw from them?
He told us he would leave them to their own, in Romans.
So that they
Gave them over to their own. That's
Yeah.
it.
So that
That's
they
it.
will finally go, I can't do this anymore.
That's it. With a whole heart. Okay?
Yeah.
Context is king.
Yes.
But people will do that to you. Christians may do that to you. Look, see, Scripture contradicts Scripture. He says he has withdrawn from them. But here it says, I will never leave you or forsake you. So which one is it?
Read the whole.
Read it in
the whole thing.
context.
Yeah.
Okay? He has withdrawn from them because here's their habit.
Yeah.
Sin, God withdraws. And he punishes. The punishment's purpose is repentance, restoration. Whew. Now they're with God again. Sin, punishment. Okay? Keep it in context. They have dealt treacherously against the Lord, for they have borne illegitimate children. Now the new moon will devour them with their land. Notice they are always connected with the land. Always, always, always. Now, he's talking to priests, royals, and the people of Israel. That we just laid that down in verse 1. Okay? Revolters went deep into depravity. They're defiled by idolatry. If they come to God and they're still sacrificing to idols, what does that tell you about their heart? Their heart is not right. They are still doing the church thing, checking it off. Their heart's no different. They're enslaved to their sin. You had a cross-reference of John 8. What does that tell you?
Page.
John 8 is page 24 of your homework.
If you commit sin, you are a slave to sin.
That's it.
Slave to sin.
Jesus can make you free.
But verse 36 tells us,
If the Son makes you free, you'll be free indeed.
you are free indeed. Indeed, that is absolute truth. Plumb line. I can always run back to that. I don't have to be enslaved to this sin. I don't have to. Because he's given me the power to be free from sin because of what he did on the cross. The Son sets me free. Now, when you went to Romans 6, people can take that out of context too. Our old self is crucified with Christ, right?
Dead to sin, but alive in Christ, right?
Right?
Not under the law, but under grace.
Ah. What do we know Romans 6 is? What do we know Romans is?
No longer slave.
The doctrine of our faith. This is what Christ did for you. This is who you are in Christ. Right? There is no condemnation for those that are in Christ Jesus. I have the power to be freed from the power of sin. Will I be in sin's presence still? Till I'm there. But I don't have the power of sin over me like when I'm not saved. But I do allow it. So that's the hard thing now as Christians. Now when we sin, it's our choice. Because we have that power not to. We just choose to. Pride. What'd you get when you looked up that word?
Pride. Vainglory.
Right? I don't know how to pronounce it. Gaon, I guess.
What?
Yeah.
Gaown.
Arrogancy was what?
I also got Gaon. Yeah, arrogance.
And then I got referring of land and possessions.
Oh, which makes you proud.
Yeah.
Because of what you own.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Usually in pride, you're self-exaltation. Right? You're better than that. Boasting, okay? But it also said, when we looked at pride, where was that? Just saw that. Moreover, the pride of Israel testifies against him. 5:5. Hosea 5:5. Pride of Israel they testify against Israel. Why? Who's watching Israel? The nations, right. Everybody's watching the nations because they know those are the chosen people of God. They don't say the chosen people of Muhammad or Allah. They say they're the chosen people of God. So, how's it going for them? Not so good. Why?
Well, they're basically saying they don't need God.
They don't need God, right? And they're a split kingdom, and this has gone into Assyrian captivity, and it looks like the Assyrians are going to take them again. And then they got this other, kingdom down here, but they're not doing so good either. But Hezekiah is their king, and they've seen a change in Judah, but Israel hasn't changed.
Right.
So, how's God their people, but not their people? All the nations are. What is that giving? How is that testifying about God?
It's making him look bad.
It's making him look bad.
But
It's
if
making
people-
him, but it's also makes him look
Great.
exactly what he said he was going to do.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Right.
You
people
do that,
actually look into
so it's going to happen.
what, because a lot of people will just look on the outer.
Yes.
Like for us, if people just look at America, they just say, well, they're just, not going.
Right.
Yeah, why?
Why? What changed? When did it change?
Yeah.
We can point right back to when it changed. Okay, the nations around them would have been able to go, look at Israel. When did that start and go really bad for them? Look, split kingdom. Why did they get split kingdom? Because one decided to serve God, one decided not. Now, one that's being ruled by Hezekiah is getting blessed. But the one that isn't is going into captivity. And the land, the fish are dying, the beasts of the field, the birds of the air. What did we also read? That the vines were just overtaking everything. Okay. Then it said, gotta hurry. Yeah, we said that. Proverbs 8:13, what does God say about pride?
God hates it.
He hates it.
Brings destruction.
What does 16:18 say? Pride goes before a fall, right? Or before destruction. We get Mark 7.
Pride defiles.
Ooh, isn't that something? And it comes out of his mouth. Because out of the heart, man speaks. Then we have 1 John 2. What does that say?
It's not from the Father.
It is not from the Father. Okay? It's the lust of the world. That's something we're not supposed to be a part of. Okay? Let's finish up the chapter. Blow the horn in Gibeah. The trumpet in Ramah. Sound an alarm at Bethaven. Behind you, Benjamin. Okay? If you looked on your map, all those places are near Benjamin. And I also found out that they were high hills, places for watchmen so the people could be warned of impending danger. So why would they be blowing the horn? Danger, right? Warning, this is coming. Behind you, Benjamin, right? Watch out.
When they blow the horn for the Muslims to pray in Israel, you can hear it.
Yeah, I bet it rings everywhere.
You
doesn't it?
yes.
can hear it.
Just saying that, Muslims in Israel, doesn't even sound right.
I know.
Just, oh. Ephraim will become a desolation in the day of rebuke among the tribes of Israel. I declare what is sure. The princes of Judah have become like those who move a boundary. On them I will pour out my wrath like water. Ephraim is oppressed, crushed in judgment because he was determined to follow man's command. Therefore, I am like a moth to Ephraim and like rottenness to the house of Judah. Okay, the only thing I can think of a moth, is like it's buzzing. And you know how it goes to that light?
Oh,
It
but
just flicks around.
moths eat things. They destroy.
And, I picture the people of Israel. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear, that's truth. I don't want to hear it. But then you get destruction secretly. They're in your closet and you're like, right, what happened? Moths were in there, but you didn't know. And like rottenness to the house of Judah. When Ephraim saw his sickness and Judah his wound, because now see the sickness is spreading to Judah, then Ephraim went to God for help. Assyria. And sent to King Jareb, who is also known as the Avenging King. But what's he telling you about Assyria? He can't help you. He's unable to heal you or to cure you of your wound.
That's talking about King Jareb?
Yeah,
Is the he?
for Assyria, yes.
Okay.
I will be like a lion to Ephraim and like a young lion to the house of Judah. I will tear to pieces and go away. I will carry away and there will be none to deliver. I will go away and return to my place. He goes, right? Until, right? Sin, judgment, hope. Until. Oh, you mean there's hope? Yes, until they acknowledge their guilt and seek my face in their affliction. In their affliction, not out of. In their affliction, they will earnestly seek me. Oh, that's different. That's the heart condition now. Will he be found in that?
Yep.
Yes. Now, you had cross references in 2 Chronicles. I don't have time to go into that one. But the spiritual harlotry, I think, is what got to me the most. I don't think about that. This was spiritual harlotry because they went and sacrificed to idols. They're looking for their help, not in God. Whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord. No, let's go to this idol I made. Let's go to the Assyria. Maybe he'll help. See, those are touchy-feely things that they can feel. They can, yeah. Don't you do that. I do that. I want to go touchy-feely. I want to hear instead of quiet spirit. My help comes from the Lord. That should be my first. Go help. He's the only one that can help. He may use other people and things to help, but he's got to be the first help. And they weren't doing that. They are able to deliver you. Okay? Theme for Hosea 6. What's he telling them? First verse. Return. Come, let's return to the Lord. Why would you do that? What did it say in verse 15 of 5?
Until they see.
Until,
Earnestly.
well, come let us return to the Lord for, oh, they know where it came from. He has torn us. He will heal us. He has wounded us, but he will bandage us. He will revive us after 2 days. He will raise us up on the third day that we may live before him. So let us know. Let us press on to know the Lord. His going forth is as certain as the dawn, and he will come to us like the rain, like the spring rain, watering the earth. How do they know that?
It's God's promise.
It's called a promise. What do they know about their God?
He keeps his promises.
He keeps his promise. The covenant is, you are my people, how long? Ever. What did he tell Abraham? Your descendants will be like the sand of the sea, and my covenant is with you forever. Forever. Well, what's their habit? Sin, judgment and punishment. Repentance. We'll seek him, he will be found. Okay? Return to the Lord, he'll revive. We looked through Lamentations, 1 Samuel, Joel. What does it say? Return. Return. How are they supposed to return? Begrudgingly and stiff-necked?
Humbly.
Humbly. Remember it said, in their affliction, they will earnestly seek me. They're so far down, there is no way to go but up. There's no way to look but up. They're in their affliction, no one else can help them. I also think of that in chapters 1 through 3 when he puts a hedge around them and thorns, so even though people that are trying to help them can't get to them to help them. Because he's created that. Examine your ways. Returning has to be with all your heart. That's what Joel says. Now, God is gracious, compassionate, and slow to anger. How do we know that?
He let them sin.
He let them sin and sin and sin and sin and sin. And he didn't kill them. And he didn't just wipe them off the face of the earth. He could have. Right? But see, when they return, what do they have to do? Remove those foreign gods. What did Hezekiah do? He removed them. He went so far as to remove that pole with the serpent. That was Moses made that. You can't touch that. Moses made that. Well, it should be in a museum. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But it shouldn't be worshipped, and this is what you're doing. So what did Hezekiah do? Act it up.
They should not have named.
And they named it. Oh, that's true. They gave it a name. Now I personalized it. Yeah, that's a total different level, isn't it? And Ezekiel 37, God will bring Israel back to the land. He promised. He promised he would do that. Verses 5 through 11, I have hewn them in pieces by the prophets. Now, you read Judges. It's a horrid story. Horrid. Hacking up the woman in 12 pieces and sending each piece to the... That was just horrid. But he says, therefore I have hewn them in pieces by the prophets. That happened at Gibeah. I have slain them by the words of my mouth, and the judgments are on you like the light that goes forth. For I delight in loyalty rather than sacrifice, and in the knowledge of God rather than burnt offerings. But like Adam, they have transgressed the covenant. They have dealt treacherously. Again, that was mentioned in 5:7. Dealt treacherously against me. Here's a description of Gilead. A city of wrongdoers, tracked with bloody footprints, and as raiders wait for a man. Do you not get a picture there? Here they are hiding behind the wall, right? Waiting for this guy to come by so they can rob him. Beat him up and rob him. Well, that makes me think of the Good Samaritan story. He's beaten up and left for dead. So, a band of priests. Well, that's just not right. Murder on the way to Shechem. Surely they have committed crime. In the house of Israel, I have seen a horrible thing. Ephraim's harlotry is there. Israel has defiled itself. He says that again. Also, O Judah, there is a harvest appointed for you. When, hope again, I restore the fortunes of my people. Okay? Quickly through this. There's a hope of return. There's no loyalty. We looked up that word loyalty. Hesed, I believe is how Kate pronounces that. Goodness, there's that word, kindness again. Faithfulness, unchanging love. But we know there was no faithfulness. There was no kindness. And Micah 6:8, we kind of all memorize that, right? What does the Lord require of you? But that you walk humbly with your God. Again, kindness and humility. The Pharisees were more concerned with the letter of the law than with compassion. We read that in Matthew 9 and 12 because the disciples were going forth, getting something to eat. And then he condemned them. Why does your master sit with tax collectors? Well, he came for the sick, not for the well. That's why he's that. So they're more concerned with, let's keep the law, rather than what was the intent of the law. It's not just the law. To show you your sin. Okay? Okay, we said that. They didn't know it any longer. Religious practices did no good. That's the point. The religious practices don't do any good because what don't they deal with? The heart. The intent. They don't deal with that. Covenant was transgressed. God keeps covenant. We know that he is a covenant keeper. That never, ever has changes. Ever.
We haven't changed either.
We
From
haven't
Adam,
changed. We're just like
we
in
broke
Hosea's time, are we not?
covenant and we still.
It's disturbing. What does that tell you, though, with times that they say, but people, are kind-hearted. They're really naturally kind. Are they?
No.
No, they're not.
I've never had a 2-year-old.
And we should have gotten better if that were true, right? And society should have gotten better because we're originally kind and good. No, we're not. We're not. And yeah, look at a 2-year-old. Nobody has to teach him to lie. Did you steal that? It was her. No, it wasn't. I watched it. Well, it wasn't me. That's self-preservation. Nobody has to teach you to lie to self-preserve, right? It's just naturally.
They do not believe of themselves.
They don't believe. No.
Yeah.
But your application, remember. Do we have a knowledge of God? Is that knowledge from His Word? Make sure. Always test. This is why I do what I do. Is that from the Word, or is this just tradition that you've learned? Which is it? Because, there's refining. Well, that's not right. You can't do it that way. Why? Because we never did that way before. I don't know. I'll have to go look that one up. I'm not quite sure why I don't feel like that one's right. Or I'll have to get back with you on that one. Because I'm not quite sure why I think that. Right. So are you supposed to go to find out why you think that? The Word. Were you taught right? Were you taught correctly? Maybe. Maybe not. A lot of stuff I had to let go because of my upbringing. Women can wear pants to church. It's okay. Even on Sunday morning. I know. It was a shock. But you can. And drums, they're allowed in church. They are. And you're allowed to dance as well. And I'm telling you, you are allowed to have a glass of wine. I know. I really had to let go of that one. Because Christians, they don't drink. Yeah, they do. Not in excess. They should never be drunk, but they're allowed to have liquor. No, you're not. You're not a Christian if you do that. Where did I get that?
Paul told Timothy.
Take some for your stomach. Didn't he tell him that? I was like, wow, what did my preacher do with that?
I remember that every
I don't
night.
remember discussing that.
I take my glass.
Again, everything that's here has to be brought back to the Word. Well, is that right? Or is just that how you were brought up and you feel more comfortable like that? I don't know. I have to go back. And I have to let it go if it's not. So what does that do of my opinion of other believers?
Be careful.
Be careful. You might have this big old thing sticking out of your eye and all they have is this little scratch. Okay? Been there, done that. Do we have an accurate knowledge of Him, and are we committing spiritual harlotry? Okay? That's the thing that got me. Spiritual harlotry. Am I casting what God has given me before swine rather than do what He's going to do? That's huge.
This week was very hard for me because I felt so weighed down with sin, but then this morning when I was reviewing, I always try to review
Right.
because I don't always remember what. And when we got to to talking about Gilead as a city of wrongdoers.
Yes.
And I went, oh, I know that. So I went to Jeremiah 2. And then the Lord says this. Then, of course, a song comes in my head.
There's a ball in Gilead.
Yes, and so I listened to Mahalia Jackson sing that this morning, and it was
And he heals
Jesus.
the sin sick soul.
Yes.
Yes.
And then you go back up where he's going to bandage you. And I went, okay, Lord, I need to be bandaged.
And they knew that.
You know, and so
They
you're
knew
just like,
truth. That's what that tells me.
Oh,
That let's go back because God will bandage me. God will heal my wound. God will.
Yeah.
They knew it. Now their heart's telling them, right. You know the truth now. Do it. This hasn't worked out so well, has it? It hasn't.
Question.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
6123, prophecy.
Like as it happened yet?
Well, yes, I believe it has happened. But did you read prophecy there?
I read prophecy. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote in my margin as I read. I was like,
Yeah. I don't
well,
think that's happened yet. Not.
Where was this?
Verses 6, 1 through 3.
1 through 3.
Because they have not, let's go back to God, let's do, no, you don't see that in Israel right now. You see religion, there
Oh,
is no
no, a whole
relationship.
lot
But
of
I
that.
also see prophecy of Christ.
There isn't a whole lot of that, you're
I thought
right.
that was interesting.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
They say that the
Referencing
devoted
the
Jews.
dawn and the rain because he said their loyalty was like a
Yes.
cloud.
Yes.
You know, I'm going, Hosea, you were so poetic.
But did he know?
God
Did he know he was that poetic? I don't think so.
I just let you do this in poetic form.
He had to be married to a prostitute. I was like, boy, I wouldn't like
I know
that.
that is actually-
The
Do you
rain.
think
Oh, I
Hosea
do
was
think it was
accurate?
actual because Isaiah's was actual because he actually had to walk around
The
naked.
rain is pouring.
Because he is a
That they
picture
want time to
of
dry.
what God is saying. They need a visual. So there, it gives me hope. There were other visual learners besides
I'm
me.
so thankful that I.
They
have
had to
you
see this is what God's
learning
doing.
the word.
Visual.
This is like,
Why is the prophet of God marrying a
okay,
prostitute and naming
look
him
at
that?
What's that song?
That was their visual. I believe that really happened. Okay, you guys got a break. It's like 2 minutes.
Yeah. Mahalia Jackson. All right, I want to hear her.
Just